how distracting you like unintentionally are. Because the past few times I've just been like, blah 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 blah, here's my book, okay, done. And now I'm just like seeing you do this like, out of the corner.
For my exercises.
Hello and welcome back. We're outside today because with everybody being cooped up, I didn't want to be cooped up as well. I've got my coffee with me with my favorite book quote mug, and have I got a story for you today. So, today I'm going to be talking about Michel Guattari's The Black Rose of Florence, and let me tell you, this is one of those books that I picked up years ago in one of those little like secondhand bins at a bookshop, and it's just been sitting in my closet ever since, waiting to be read. And I've tried a couple of times and I just kept getting interrupted, but I'm happy to say I finally read it, and it's one of my favorite books so far because it takes place in one of my very favorite cities. I've been to Florence twice, and it was just super exciting to read this because it's one of my favorites. Like I said, I just instantly fell in love with the city, and I'm supposed to go back according to the Boar Fountain over in Florence. As a quick aside, after a lot of consideration, since I have gone to Florence twice, I've decided to include at the end some of my pictures from my trip there. I went this past summer, had a ton of fun, and since my book takes place in one of my very favorite cities, I thought that I would share some of my favorite sites with you. So watch to the end to see those photos, and I'll give photo credit then. So, the story itself follows a ton of people in the prosecutor's office and the Carabinieri, which is kind of like military police in Italy, but not exactly. They're simultaneously a police investigative force, but they are also involved in the military. And then there's also just normal policemen involved in this as well. So I will say that was one part of the story that was a little bit confusing, because there are just so many different investigators and superintendents and detectives and various other people that it was a little bit hard to keep track of. But simply put, this story takes place over the course of about 2 weeks, as all of those various civil and military investigators are trying to figure out about 5 or 6 murders that take place in Florence. 3 of them are from the same family. One of them is just some random immigrant, and they're like, why'd he die? Another is an occult expert in this, so it is about 6. And the other one is this woman, and they don't really know a whole lot about her. So her death is by far the most mysterious, and it takes the most aggressive police work. So that was really cool to read through all of that. Meanwhile, on top of all of the whole typical murder mystery whodunit shenanigans, there's also this element of secret societies and clandestine meetings and satanic rituals, and it's just very multifaceted and layered, that it was just a really fascinating story. I think that Guattari did a really good job of weaving it all together, and I think one of the ways that he did that really well was the fact that all the chapters are pretty short, so you get to see things happening at the same time as other events, and you get to see all the different sides, and even a little bit of the secret society part, and like how the upper levels of that basically were manipulating everything. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the book. I loved how they discussed the different places in Florence that they visited, and that was especially fun for me because, as I said, I've been there twice, and it was really cool to be like, oh, that piazza, I was there, I remember that. One of the piazzas was especially interesting for me, the Piazza de Independencia. I definitely said that more like Spanish than Italian, so excuse the mispronunciation. Because I actually got lost there the last time I was in Florence. I didn't mean to go there, but I found myself in that piazza. So yeah, that was really cool for me because I was able to see, kind of envision rather, where the characters were at a given time, just because I am a little bit familiar with the city. But at the same time, it was really cool to see it through this new lens, even though that lens was kind of scary since there are all these murders going on. I also really liked the ending because I think even though essentially suicide letter is a little bit of a cop out, at the same time I think it really tied up the loose ends for the detectives really well, and so that just kind of gave it a nice sense of closure. But it also left it just open-ended enough that if you wanted to, I could totally see a sequel happening, but at the same time, it's definitely its own standalone story and didn't really leave me wanting. I think the only reason why you might not like the book is if the occult does make you a little bit uncomfortable, or if you don't like detective stories. But for the most part, I think this is a book that pretty much anyone could enjoy. So that's all I have for The Black Rose of Florence. For next week, I'm going to be looking at another book that has just been sitting in my closet since, I don't know, probably 2010. I'm pretty sure I read this years ago, but I don't remember the story at all. So I saw it hanging out, and I was like, maybe I'll give it another shot. Underworld by Meg Cabot. And definitely one of those YA books about romance and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'll be including some photos from my own trip to Florence. Well, my last trip, because I would have to do some serious digging to find photos from my very first trip. So you'll get to see some photos, and they're all by my friend Nick. I'll credit him in the description below, and I hope that seeing my photos will inspire you to maybe check out Florence for yourself one day, because it's such a great city, and I hope that you just get to experience it. Thanks!